Right. Hello, everyone. Um, Today, I'm just going to be talking to you a little bit about strategies that will help you with trying to remember some of the information, or information that you are being taught in your courses. So, you may well have revised for tests in year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10, or you might well be in year 11 revising right now. And you might feel that you've never really given much thought as to how to revise or what's going on. So today I'm hoping to be able to explain to you a little bit about what our best current thinking is, current understanding is about how you remember things and what is going on in your brain, and give you strategies, tips to help you make sure that you're being as effective as possible whilst revising. So, without further ado, what is learning? Okay, well, learning is essentially, you could break it down into three parts. Okay, it's what your brain is processing, how your brain stores that information, and then whether or not, or how easily you are able to access the information that you have processed and stored. So the processing is what you see, what you hear, what you feel. You can include the other senses, but obviously we're focusing mainly on sort of schoolwork here. So it's going to be mainly what you're seeing and what you're hearing. So it might be what you're reading, might be what you're listening to, a video lesson from a teacher or a live lesson. And this applies just as equally in the classroom as remotely. When we say what your brain stores, we're talking about just your memories, your ability to remember something. And then how your brain accesses those memories, that information, is how you think. Okay, the process you go through in order to find those memories, how your brain organizes the information that you are processing, and stores it. So there's this term, metacognition, which sounds all fancy and scientific, but actually it's all it is an idea of becoming self-aware about how you think. Okay, and actually spending some time giving that some attention. Okay, so looking at how you learn things, looking at how your brain thinks, and this is you specifically, and then trying to work with that, understand how your brain works, and really try and help yourself to learn things better. Okay, now this is obviously beneficial at school when you are being taught a huge amount of information and you have to remember an awful lot, especially during an exam period, or when you're doing a test. But these skills are really useful throughout life. Okay, you will not stop learning. Unfortunately, the way the world is, you will be introduced to new things, new technologies, new ways to that you have to access and work in your jobs, or pay your bills or whatever. So you will have to carry on learning, and so the better you can do it now, and the more efficient you can get, the easier life will be for you. Okay, so the current best thinking about how we remember things is we believe that your brain has the ability to process what it sees. Okay, and the part of the brain that does that is called the visual spatial sketch pad. Okay, it's just made up by some scientist, some psychologist who came up with the idea. We can shorten that to the VSSP. Okay, but that's what you're seeing. Okay, you're looking at images, you're looking at diagrams, you're looking at flow charts, you're looking at pictures. Okay, what is going into your eyes. Okay, the images, they are being stored there. You then also have something called your phonological store. Okay, and again, this is another part of your brain, but that is the part that is dealing with what it is reading and or hearing the words. It's all to do with words. Okay. So whether you're reading those words or listening to those words. And we believe these two parts are distinct, are separate. Okay, so they can take in information at the same time, different information. Yeah. So if you think about that, and they can only hold so much. They only hold a certain amount. And how much they hold varies significantly between individuals. Some people can remember lots and lots of words. They've got a very large phonological store. Other people cannot. As soon as you talk to them for too long or you give them too much to read, they can only remember the first however much that they hear or read. The same with your visual spatial sketchpad. Some people can see lots of things and remember lots of detail about an image. Other people can't. So again, you'll find, that both of these will be very useful because you might have one that is stronger than the other. So if I was learning about alligators, okay, I could find some images and have a look at them. And from these images, I could then start formulating memories. I could look at this one over here and notice what the alligator looks like. I could see here that we've got some eggs and some alligators coming out of some eggs. I can see here that there's an alligator, but this is where it's clearly its habitat. It's quite difficult to see. If I was also given some information, alligators have 4 legs and are covered in scales. They reproduce by laying eggs that then hatch. They live in swamps and show adaptations that help them survive there, such as camouflage. If I had to then remember this, to regurgitate it in answer to an exam question, okay, a good way for me to try and revise what I've been given, the information, is to create something that uses both my visual spatial sketchpad with images, as well as my phonological store with words. Okay, we call this dual coding. Here, words, here, vision. Okay, so you can see the dual, the two. You're using both parts of your short-term memory. And what you're doing is you're putting information in both of them at the same time about the same topic. Okay, in the hopes that some from your VSSP and some from your phonological store will go into your long-term memory and you will remember it. So that's one technique. The first technique that you can take away is trying to use dual coding when you are revising. Okay, if you're given lots of information, try and summarize it in pictures and words. Okay, another technique that we know works is to give your brain time to move information from the phonological store and the VSSP, your short-term memory, to your long-term memory. Okay, whilst it's doing that, it cannot process any new information. So if we look here, the flowchart, you read or look at something, okay, your VSSP and your phonological store fill up. Okay, you put words in and you put an image in. You then carry on revising, thinking you're doing really well. You read some more stuff, you look at some more pictures. However, your VSSP and your phonological store are already full, so this new stuff does not go in. When you then come to test yourself, you find that you only remember the very first bits that you looked at, and you can't remember the rest of it. Okay? If this is something that you recognize has happened to you in the past, this is why. Yeah, and this happens to everyone. So instead, spaced learning is this idea that you take in this new information, again, trying to use dual coding, then you take some time out and you do an activity that contains no new information. You are not reading any words. You are not listening to any words. You are not looking at any images, okay, and looking at any details and taking those in. You are trying to be purely creative during this activity. Then, after a period of time of doing that, whilst your brain is moving it from the information here, from your short term to your long term, you can then come back and start reading the next piece of information, which hopefully will then go into your VSSP and your phonological store. So what are these spaced learning activities that you can do? So things like colouring in, drawing. And when I say drawing, I mean drawing something from your imagination. Okay, doing something like juggling. Anything like that. whereby you're not reading any information, you're not really looking at any new, images. Exercising, okay, just going for a jog, doing some press ups and some sit ups, yeah, where you're not taking in any new information. Meditation, silent meditation, okay, sculpting using modeling clay, yeah, just making some sort of imaginary features or creations, okay. Things that won't work are listening to music with lyrics, because guess what? All those words are going straight in, trying to push into that phonological store. Watching YouTube, reading social media, again, you're overloading your phonological store. Reading a book won't work. Okay, singing lyrics won't work. Talking to someone, listening to their words, formulating your own words won't work. Okay, looking and studying a new image, looking through pieces of artwork, just flicking through magazines, just looking at new images won't work. That will overload your VSSP. Okay, so it needs to be something that really is, it's almost like you're designing this activity so that you are not engaging with any words or new images. So we've done dual coding using both aspects, spaced learning, and then the last bit is breaking things down into small sections, not trying to cram huge amounts in at a time. Okay, your phonological store and VSSP aren't designed to take in lots and lots of information. So my example here, Star Wars heroes. If I had to learn these, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of students out there who are going, what is he on about? I've never seen those before. If I gave you a list of names for you to learn like that, there's not a good chance of you remembering it just by looking at it. It's a big long name. They're all a bit weird. They're all different. Okay. But if you broke them down into small groups and just learnt those two together, those three together, okay, then, those two together, and then those two, and you went back and you did it bit by bit, and then someone asked you, you could go to each chunk and go, okay, there were only two in that. What were they? Yeah, those two. Okay. And then there were three in that one. Oh, I can't remember. What was it? Da-da-da. I mean, it's called BBC Bite Size for a reason. Yeah. So break it down and learn each one one at a time. Okay. And time is important. Yeah. I say this to lots of classes. I guarantee all of you know which cars these logos, link to or associated with. Okay. I guarantee it. Now, have you ever sat down and revised car logos? Have you ever sat down and spent time and put the effort in? Of course not. But what you have done is you have seen them thousands of times on TV, on your phone, in a car park, okay? If you look at something enough times, you will remember it. Yeah, it is as simple as that. So if you think you can learn or should be learning stuff after looking at it once, you're misguided. It's not going to happen. Okay? You must put the time in. So here's an example of how hopefully you might be able to put these together, okay, to create a study session. Yeah. Now you'll see here we've got 5 steps, each taking about 10 minutes, 50 minutes. Yeah. It doesn't have to be that long. It could be shorter. Yeah. The ones in pink are the active ones where you want to put your effort in. Okay. Step 1, let's say you want to take a page of your revision guide, okay, and copy it out. Now, you might be thinking, what do you mean that's active? I'm having to do it. Well, frankly, someone else has done all the work, haven't they? You're literally just copying the words out, yeah, or the diagrams, okay? It's not that active. Step 2, then look at what you've written out. Look at and read it. That's going to go into your phonological store. Look at the diagrams. They go into your VSSP. Then switch off. Space learning activity, okay? You go and you do it. You focus on nothing else. Step 4, you come back. Fresh page, without looking, you write out everything you can remember from that page. Then step 5, you look back at the guide, and what you've missed out, what you didn't remember, you add in a different color. Now, how is that? That's using the bite size. You're doing 1 page. You're not trying to do 10 pages, okay? You're using your spaced learning activity. When you do the information, if it's all writing, you've got to try and turn some of that into some diagrams or pictures or something, okay? So you're using both parts of your short-term memory. You're doing your spaced learning activity, and then you're doing your retrieval, okay? Writing out everything you can remember and looking at it again. Now, you'll have to do this for, several pages. You might have to do this 3, 4, 5 times in order to remember the information. But if you're doing this regularly, okay, your brain starts making connections. It starts changing its architecture, okay, allowing you to access this information more easily. And it gets used to doing this, okay, just like your muscles when you train and you exercise. And it will form more connections, and you will find it will get easier and easier to do this and retrieve the information the more you do it. Right, guys, that's it. The last thing I will say is there is a cracking website called The Learning Scientists. Okay, they've got some brilliant videos, all aimed at students and learning. They talk a lot about this sort of stuff. So do feel free to go and visit that and take that up to help you. I hope this has been useful. And if you do have any further questions, do ping me an email. All right.